I'll be presenting you today the NSDI specification, or actually local specifics in Serbia, and the focus would be technical framework methodology. The thing is, in context of today's session topic, how to coordinate with all the local specifics, and as one part of it and as a backbone of the process is the technical framework. So to start with, the Republic Geodetic Authority is the national coordinating body, and its role is defined by the law, and it's being coordinating other stakeholders for the whole country. You can see why is this such role, considering the activities that the RGA is working on. For more details, you're welcome to visit the website. The presentation will be structured from two parts. The first one will be quite a short one, presenting what has been done, because it is the basis for the current activities and the ongoing activities, and especially with the focus on the last one. So you can see that the law has been for 3 years already implemented. There is a national strategy present, and also several other core components of the SDI are implemented. Yet this still calls for further engaging and further defining of the national SDI. This is in manner that now we need more detailed law to be defined, also to revise and work on further strategy, and develop the GER portal. So basically to go through all these things and move them on the next level. To focus more on the ongoing activities, you will see three parts. Firstly, several examples of how infrastructure is being developed and what has been accomplished so far. This is very important, since the technical framework is very hardly influenced by these processes. The second big domain is cooperation. Considering on the national level, so how the stakeholders are involved, how is being interaction done with them, etc., etc. Finally, the technical framework document and methodology of its structuring will be presented. So basically, the development follows the next flow, where the government proposes or established the council. We have working groups established and functioning, or I could say that now they're becoming overcrowded, or it is already asked that several other subgroups and new working groups should be established, considering the interest from the stakeholders. So the focus here is on these arrows that exist, so the communication and how the process is flowing, since the identified subjects already exist. Just briefly to look at the working groups and their priorities that are currently on the menu. I will not go through each of them, just to emphasize that their work is closely to connect and is cross-covered. So topics from one working group are highly dependent on work from others and influence vice versa. Structure of the infrastructure of the national SDI is following the basic INSPIRE principles. Now, being still on some basic initial level, you can see the simplified scheme where these components will be presented in a manner what has been already done and what is currently active. Firstly, there is an in-house solution for the metadata catalog and metadata catalog service that is in function for over the year or two now. It's based on the open source solution, it's multilingual, and it is being widely used within the RGA for the data sets that are available on the GeoPortal. Considering the GeoPortals, there is significant work in this area too, considering other projects that are closely connected to this one and that will influence more in future on how the national GeoPortal is developed. But so far it is important to mention that there are, as you can see, three kinds of them covering different areas and are enabling the future development of the GeoPortal. I will not go too much into details because my colleagues from NGA are more expert into this one. I used this as a basis that in a manner that influences the technical framework definition. Another segment that I mentioned is the cooperation. Now the questionnaire about the sector status is being finished and should be delivered in following days to the stakeholders. It is to find or to question the various topics that you can see, and that is how deeply are actually stakeholders involved, how actually they realize the role they should have and the benefits they should get from the NSDI. Of course, data sets and services that are available and that they would be needed. Of course, one segment is standardization that should more deeply seek for the necessities and for determining of the core standard sets that we are building through this project of technical framework defining. Another activity that has been worked through is legal status. I won't bother you with the details. You can see here, and also on the GeoPortal is available documentation on the current activities, the laws that are influencing the domain, etc., etc. It is just important to mention that the significant amount of work has been done to see how the international laws and standards influence local specifics, and how could these specifics fit in the requirements. This is the good example of how actually we are dealing with this. For the Annex 1, there have been proposed responsible institutions. So, as you can see, there is more, or quite much more than one institution in charge. So it is important to define in which way the coordination would be set for each required type of data set. So this is just an overview that should be worked on, and I presented it in the matter of the topic we're discussing today, and of course the previously said about the local specifics, cooperation, legal framework, etc. Finally, to conclude the overview of this part of the presentation, the geodata sharing is about the open data. So some obstacles to this process is what we have today. So still not present the long-term policy for data sharing. Also the need for defining the model for cooperation, and the input for this would be the mentioned questionnaire and the analysis that are made, and further work of the working group, so their dissemination or engaging more expert or more specialized fields of the working group. Finally, this should, of course, bring benefit to all. The focus of my work on the project, this technical framework definition, will be shortly presented, and this is, I would say, the main slide of the presentation, which sums up the previously said about already developed components of the SDI, crossed over with what has already been done and what is planning to be done. On the left side you see the identified components. In the middle column it is noted what is currently present, what exists, and what still needs to be discussed. And in the right column you can see the solutions that are already implemented or planned in the nearest future to cover different components. So regarding all of the existing situation, we went through all the available requirements and guidelines for putting through the technical framework, and I would not go into details about the available standards or process. I would like to emphasize that there are different methods to group standards and to extract the core ones of them for the purpose of the local SDI, or national in this case. This implies also to the other organizations that are proposing developing standards, or either standards or specification. And currently in Serbia, concerning the INSPIRE Directive, the focus is on data specifications, network services, and the data survey sharing. Metadata is covered, and it is expected to evolve while the other aspects are being introduced. And I believe that for monitoring and reporting it's still quite early phase and to be comprehensively done. Of course, another example is SEND that should be considered, and especially the technical report that was recently, or not recently, today published, that was also considered on the workshops during this weekend. And what was taken in consideration is the national laws and bylaws that define the field. This is a short summary that more tells about the problems and the needs of SDI from the National Standardization Institution, since the institution just adopts the already published standards, so we had quite a need to to understand them thoroughly. Also within the groups that are working and coordinating the SDI process, but even more considering the stakeholders. So translations would be of much importance, some guidelines, some best practice cases. It is what is really necessary. The project is focused, and still it's ongoing, about the data that is exchanged from and to the NSDI that is in charge of the coordination. Also the network services that are offered from the coordinating body, and the network service that should be used within it. Of course, the core group on standards is something that we are currently working on, and the process should be in the following period evolve to introduce more complex services standards in order to fully implement the NSDI. So concretely, a technical framework considers the framework components, so standards that underpin the spatial standards. The spatial standard itself in the domain of metadata, data services, and security. And what I mentioned now several times, and here is summarized, that the categorization should be made in order to have the basic group, the optional standards for now that will be in timely manner introduced, and the future standards that would be required. All this is highly dependent on what the stakeholders would be needed, how their cooperation is looked at, also how the national strategy is developed, and other factors that I mentioned before. The three pillars that the framework is based on, and or I could say this is the methodology on which it was built. It was to look firstly at the existing data and services, and in these terms, how the group of standards that should support them should be defined. Also, the second one, the ones that are in the process of adopting, and finally the ones that are to come in the future. So based on these three pillars, the methodology is developed so that the document and the technical framework project does not just stand there as a static, as a paper, as a document, but to be the living technical documentation that should evolve during the time, considering the requirements. Finally, to sum up what I presented, the thing is that there is a gap that we are approaching between recommended models, also guidelines, standards that are present, and local specifics that come from the other side and impose, well, modified, not other approach, but modified approach to the process. Also, what must be counted in is that there are already accomplished results, and there are project goals that should firstly underpin those accomplishments, and then to evolve, to develop the SDI. Very important segment is cooperation with stakeholders, which I emphasized in a few times before. Of course, continuation and upgrading of the NSDI, that should be one of the main goals of the framework, so to set up the basis and to work on further development. That should, of course, bring some more formal documents, either it is some national cookbook, or maybe to work on reports like state of play, etc., etc. And of course, segments that was not so much emphasized but is very important is education and development, that is needed on various levels for various types of users. So even for experts in some domain, also for stakeholders on a basic, mid and higher level, depending on their status. And we're expecting to have these groups defined after the results of the questionnaire. And of course to have some best practice case examples, which I believe are the best motivation for including and further engaging of the sides that are involved in this process. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, I'm available for you.